Okay, good morning. We are here live from the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and I am Kristen Elliott, one of the resident dietitians here. We are on episode number 17 of Quarantine Kitchen, and we are talking all about split peas. So, our last episode, we talked about some other legumes. We talked about dried beans. And so this time we're going to talk about dry split peas, which fall into the same family of plant-based proteins. And I wanted to share a few ways you can use them in your meal prep, as well as a couple of interesting ways that you might not have considered. So I wanted to start by saying, when I was researching this topic, almost every recipe that I found was for split pea soup. So I'm very aware that that is kind of the American mindset, and like where you use split peas, you make split pea soup. Sometimes it's green split pea soup, sometimes it's yellow, which is what I'm working with today. But you can break out of the box of soup and use it in so many other ways. So today I'm going to show you how to make a curry, which sounds similar to split pea soup, but it is a little bit different. And then I'm going to talk to you about how you can meal prep with your split peas by making a large batch and then using them throughout the week. So the most time consuming part of cooking with split peas is that they take up to 40 minutes to an hour to be completely cooked through and soft. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So starting here, we have our dry yellow split peas. So as you can tell, they're literally just whole little dry peas that have been split in half down their natural seam. So what that does is it eliminates the need to soak them because they will cook a lot faster. So 40 minutes is definitely a lot faster than up to 2 hours if these split peas were still whole. This is what they look like after I cooked them for about 40 minutes. So you can see that they don't maintain their texture and their shape once they're cooked. And that leaves them open for a lot of different opportunities because they can be mixed in and they can sort of like disappear into the background, which is kind of what they do in this curry. So as you can see here, I already got my curry started. I started by sauteing one onion, and once it started to get clear, I added my chopped garlic. I used about 3 cloves of garlic, and you can use a garlic powder in place of fresh garlic if you would like to save yourself some cutting time and sticky fingers. Then I added my spices to the onions and the garlic, and that is, you've probably heard me say this before. I love to toast the seasonings in the oil before I add any of the liquids. So what that does is it infuses the oil with the flavor of the spices before you add the liquid, and then it helps to extend the flavor more deeply. So this is the onions and the garlic, the spices, and then I went ahead and added my coconut milk in this step. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my cooked split peas, and I'm going to add my cubed sweet potatoes. So the beauty of curry is you can use any vegetable that you like. And I was feeling a little bit lazy, for lack of a better word. I decided to use frozen mixed vegetables from the freezer section at the grocery store. And this whole bag was $1. So save yourself some time and save yourself some cash, because that's cheaper than if you bought broccoli and everything separately. And that will be good for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my cooked split peas. So this is 1 cup of dry split peas cooked. So it always expands to a larger amount, just like rice and other types of beans. Okay, that's my there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is add my broth. See, I waited to add my broth for when I was talking to you because I wanted to show you that you can actually eat this exactly the way this is right now. So this is the split peas and the coconut milk and the spices. And so you've got a good like thick curry sauce, and that is a beautiful way to eat it. So you can add broth and loosen it up and thin it out to make it extend how many servings you can make. But also this will be more curry consistency, and if you add more liquid, it'll be more soup consistency. One thing about this is you can see that this liquid has separated. So this is the cooking liquid from my split peas. So after I cooked them, I strained them over a bowl. So I put my strainer inside of a bowl and then dumped my pot of split peas into it so I could save the cooking liquid. So that's going to give you this little section right here on the bottom is some of the starch from the split peas. So that will help thicken up your curry somewhat and keep some of the nutrients that could have come out into the cooking liquid. So just wanted to add that you can decide how thick or thin you want it to be. I'm going to first, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add my sweet potatoes first and see how much liquid I need to cook them in. In the end, I will decide. Here we go. I mean, technically they could cook in this amount, but I'm going to add some liquid because I'm going to add more vegetable later. I'm only going to add some. Okay, that's about half a cup. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up to a simmer and let these sweet potatoes cook for just a little bit. The reason why I'm not adding my other vegetables is because all they need to do is heat through. They are still cold, so I want to add the sweet potatoes first, so they will cook through without the coldness of these vegetables, bringing the temperature down and taking it longer for it to all come together. So I'm just going to increase my temp to right at a medium and keep my eye on this as I talk a little bit more about the split peas. Okay, so like I said, split peas are often overlooked because we have one way that we think we can prepare them. But I learned a lot of things while I was researching this. And one of the coolest things is that I have forever thought that split peas are going to fall apart and you have to cook them for at least 40 minutes. But in some of my research, you can actually par cook them, which means partially cook them and use them in cold recipes, and they will hold their texture more like a lentil or like canned beans don't mush completely. So you can par cook these around 20 or 25 minutes, and then you can drain them off and use them in cold recipes like your favorite salad. You can add them as a topping, or you can make a summer salad with cut tomatoes and fresh corn and a fresh salad dressing with olive oil and some lemon juice. So you don't have to cook these for the entire 40 minutes required. I often find that the instructions on packages will kind of limit your options for using food. So I like to dig and do research to figure out how can we kind of think outside of this box. So you can use it in cold dishes, and you can do some other things with your cooked split peas. So one thing I would recommend is to save yourself some time during the week is to already have your split peas cooked so you can add them to whatever dish you like. So this curry can be on the table for dinner within 30 minutes if your split peas are already cooked. So you've got a couple of options for cooking your split peas in your meal prep. So one is you can use sorry, distracted here. You can use your slow cooker to cook your split peas. If you don't already know, I'm a big fan of slow cookers because one, often households own slow cookers if they don't have something like a regular pressure cooker or an Instapot, which is an electric pressure cooker. And slow cookers are, I love them very dearly. So you can cook your dried beans in the slow cooker, like I told you before, and you can also cook your split peas in the slow cooker. So the information that I found for slow cooking split peas varied from 4 hours to 8 hours on low. And I am going to say that that's going to be up to the strength and like the age of your slow cooker. So the first time you make your split peas in the slow cooker, I recommend checking them at 4 hours to sort of gauge where your slow cooker is on the cooking scale. There's nothing wrong with your slow cooker if it takes up to 8 hours. It just depends on the strength of your slow cooker. So 4 to 8 hours on low. And then what you will have is leftover cooked split peas. And you can use these in many different ways. One really interesting way that I'm going to share with you might sound a little interesting, and I think it is interesting, and we'll see what your feedback is about it. So we can see that these are smushed and they can be really smooth if you take just a little bit of extra elbow grease to mash them up. So I was thinking that we could mix these into some mashed sweet potatoes. And say you have a child who will only eat sweet potatoes, just hypothetical. If that's the case, they're not getting enough of other nutrients in their diet, like protein. So having that addition to your sweet potatoes is going to boost the nutrition quality of your mashed sweet potatoes and hide it, because we have to do what we have to do to make sure our kids are getting the nutrients that they need. All right, let me give this a stir. Okay, so a tiny, tiny bit of sticking on the bottom, and that's because I use a little bit less liquid than I would typically use. Okay, so the sweet potatoes are going to take 10 to 12 minutes to cook in here. So here we go. I'm going to slide some stuff around here so I can talk to you about these sweet potatoes. There. Okay, so what I have here is one sweet potato that I've diced up. I've drizzled a little bit of water over the top of the sweet potatoes. I'm going to do a really quick and simple way to cook them by steaming them in the microwave. So if you've got a couple minutes to dice up your sweet potato, throw some water over the top of it. You can put some plastic wrap on top or any kind of lid that you might have. I'm just going to use a plate because that's going to decrease the amount of waste from my prep today. What we're going to do is put them in the microwave for 3 minutes, give them a stir, and then do it again for another 3 minutes. And we're going to check the consistency of the sweet potatoes. You may notice I did leave the skin on the sweet potatoes because I'm a big fan of leaving that skin and all of the minerals that come along with it and fiber. So I'm going to go pop this in the microwave real quick. Okay, so 3 minutes on the microwave over there. Sweet potatoes are cooking in our curry. A couple of cool things about split peas is that you don't have to soak them like you would other dried beans. Lentils and split peas do not have to be soaked, while other dried plant-based proteins do. But as I was searching, I found a couple of interesting ways to use your split peas, but it requires soaking. So I dug a little bit deeper. One of the ways to use your dried split peas to soak them for 4 hours, and they're going to get bigger because right now they're dehydrated. So soaking them rehydrates them and pulls water back into the split pea. So they're also going to feel a little bit soft after you soak them. So one thing you can do is you can drain them out of their soaking liquid, and then you can use a food processor to make something like a falafel with your split peas. So it's called not a chickpea fritter, that's falafel. It's a split pea fritter, and it's going to look and have similar texture to a falafel. So if you have had the beautiful Mediterranean dish that is falafel, you might be interested in trying making them with split peas. And the process for making falafel the traditional way with chickpeas or garbanzo beans is the same. So you would soak the chickpeas or garbanzo beans, and then you would put them in your food processor uncooked, the same way you would your dried split peas uncooked. And then you would mix them with other seasonings and fresh herbs, and then make them into your patties or little like golf ball size fritters, and then try them that way. So that's an idea of what you can do. But I think I have my favorite idea, which I wish I had known about or found sooner, so I could have done it today. But another way that you can use your soaked split peas is you can make a really crunchy snack that's similar in texture, and it looks like grape nuts. Not grape nuts, corn nuts, not grape nuts. I earlier said they were grape nuts. Okay, so soak and drain, and then you're going to bake them dry in the oven for about 10 minutes, and you can add your favorite seasonings and spices to make a really crunchy snack that looks like corn nuts. And I wish I had found that sooner, but alas, such is life. Okay, grabbing this from the microwave. Bowl's really hot. We've got some condensation there. I'm gonna just turn this plate over. Smells like sweet potatoes. That's how it's supposed to smell. Okay, good. They still look wet enough, so I don't need to add any more liquid. Using a plate like this helps to keep all of the liquid in your bowl, so you're not worried about it drying out and potentially burning in the microwave. Go. Mix, mix, mix. All right. Let's do this again for another 3 minutes. Okay. All right. Let's check our sweet potatoes in our plate over here. So this dish is a vegan dish because it has no animal products in it. So to cook the split peas, I use 1 cup of broth and 3 cups of water. So that's going to give your split peas a little more flavor without adding too much additional salt, and also allowing you to stretch your broth across other dishes. So you won't be using a full box or 32 ounces of broth for this. You'll only use 1 cup, and then you can have 3 cups left for something else. Okay, this looks really good, and I just wish y'all could smell this. It smells so delightful. Okay, let me see if I can grab a sweet potato, a bigger one. Let's check this. I'm just going to put it right here. See what its texture is like. Nope, we're not there yet. keep cooking. Okay. My spices in my curry are ground ginger, ground cumin, curry powder, turmeric, fresh garlic, and that's it. So you have an option to not use all of those spices. The basic curry recipe is curry powder and ground ginger, and that is going to be the minimum amount of spices that you need. If you have more of the spices that I listed in your pantry, you are absolutely welcome to use those in your curry, but just know that you don't have to go out and buy 4 or 5 seasonings to make this dish. You can find curry powder in the store brand version at any grocery store that you shop at for much less than a widely known name brand version. And the same thing goes for ground ginger, turmeric. Occasionally you can find that a little bit cheaper, and cumin is always available in the cheapest option. So you do not have to go out and buy extra things. You can use the seasonings and the combos that you have at home for that. Okay, so, 3 seconds. Okay, let's see how they look now. They smell a lot stronger than they did before. They look darker orange, and that's going to tell us that they are cooked more. Yep. Okay, let's see. How soft is this? That's pretty soft. That's good. Okay, I'm going to put them in for just a little bit longer. And pieces are very soft. I want them to be consistently soft. I'm also going to mash these. So you want them to be super soft. So they're easier to mash, and you're not putting in a lot of extra work that you don't have time for and probably just not up to do. So let's just toss them in for, I'm going to do 3 more minutes, and we'll check them again. Plate. Okay. So because of the less liquid that I used here, I'm doing a lot more stirring than you would typically need to do. I wanted it to be really thick today, so that is why I didn't add as much liquid. Okay, good job, Curry. Okay. So you're thinking, okay, Kristen, you told me that I can do some meal prep and have split peas to go in dishes throughout the week, but you only have shown me 2 things that I can do with your completely cooked soft split peas. So you've got a lot of other options to use them. I would consider making a stretch meal with your cooked split peas. I've talked about stretch meals before, and what it does is it helps you decrease the amount of meat protein in dishes, and then you add something else that is going to provide similar amounts of protein and bulk up the dish while making your meat in your freezer stretch longer. So you can take half of your meat from almost anything that doesn't require a texture, like soups are a really good idea. You can decrease the amount of meat that you use in your soups, and you can add the split peas, which will bulk it up with protein and with fiber, but also it's going to help thicken the broth of your soup because of the creamy consistency that you have here. Another cool thing that I found is you can make burgers from cooked split peas. So people have different ideas on what definitions of burgers are, but this recipe reminded me of our salmon burger recipe that we have in our food bank vault. So you're going to use sweet potatoes, and you're going to use the split peas, and you're going to mash those together. You're going to add 1 egg, and you're going to add some oats. I don't remember the exact measurement. And then you're going to combine that with seasonings and spices that you like. And then you can let them sit for just a little bit so the mixture gets some time to really mix together and hold its shape. And then you can brown them off in your frying pan. And there you have some vegan burgers that are going to be really filling, high in protein and fiber, and easy to put together because your split peas will already be cooked. Off to the microwave. Okay. These should be done this time. They're even darker orange. Okay. Those are beautiful. Perfect, perfect consistency. I can take my spatula and just cut each little square in half really easily, and that lets you know that they're cooked all the way. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab a bigger bowl, and then I'm going to use all of the sweet potatoes, and I'm going to add the cooked split peas in a couple batches. And I want to see how it looks as I'm combining it. And you can make the decision on how much you use based on your preference for the texture or the flavor, or how much you want to hide them. So I'm going to get a bigger bowl. Go. That's a hot bowl. Okay. I'm going to put these here. I'm going to try to not scoop all the liquid. There's only a little bit of liquid left in this bowl after cooking it. Okay. Slide this over. Got our sweet potatoes. I'm going to grab my potato masher. Not required. You can always use a fork. Yes, there we go. Gonna mash these up just a little bit before I add some of the split peas. That way we start with like an even texture and not chunks. And the smooth chickpeas, split peas. Okay. Okay, that looks good. Let me check these sweet potatoes in here. They should be about done. Yes, there we go. That looks good. Beautiful. Okay, let's grab one of these sweet potatoes. Smush it. Yep, here we go. Those are done. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my veggies for my curry. At this point, it's fine if the temperature goes down from the veggies being cold because everything else is already cooked. So at this point, all you're doing is heating your veggies through because they are cooked. So if you were using fresh vegetables, you would consider how hard each vegetable is when adding it to the curry. So you want to cook your hardest vegetables first. That's why I added my sweet potatoes before I added the others that are just take a couple of minutes to cook through. If you wanted to use greens like some chopped spinach or kale or something like that. You would add that closer to the end because it cooks relatively fast. Okay, this beautiful veggie curry that we have with the split pea foundation. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this down to low, just so I've got some heat in here, so the rest of the veggies can heat up while I am showing you this recipe. Okay, so we mashed up our sweet potatoes a little bit. I'm gonna grab my split peas over here. I'm just gonna put a dollop and mix it in. See how it looks? There we go. So these split peas have cooled down a little bit, so the texture, the consistency is a little bit different. So when you do this, make sure that your split peas have just been heated through, so they are similar temperature to your cooked sweet potatoes, and they will mix in very easily. Mash, mash, mash. Get this all mixed together. I'm curious if anyone has favorite seasonings that they like to use for mashed sweet potatoes. Are you a sweet person? Are you a savory person when it comes to sweet potatoes? For me, there's a time and a place for a sweet potato with some like cinnamon butter on it. But for me, I am generally looking for some savory flavors, especially because the sweet potato itself is sweet. So when you add those savory or warm spices, it really is a great combination of flavors. So you can see how well this mixes together in terms of color, and will hide those sweetness really well. And so you can also see that this is what your burger mixture would look like before you added eggs and oats as your binders. Okay. So you can add some liquid here to make it not be such a paste. You're making burgers or something like that. This is a great consistency because you don't want them to be too wet or they'll fall apart. I'm just going to put in a little bit of my split pea water since I have a little left over. That's going to keep with our vegan recipes today. But like I always say, these recipes do not have to end up vegan in your house. You can add the meat that your household loves, or you can use chicken broth instead of vegetable broth. Like all of these are options, and what I say are suggestions when it comes to cooking for our health. So you can add a little meat, you can add some meat broth or anything like that. It works. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. It's so good.
I was thinking while you were mashing that, you could also put it in a Ziploc bag.
Yes.
Look this.
Yes. I didn't think about that. That's a great point. I'm sure you've all heard, but you can put your sweet potatoes cooked and your split peas cooked in a bag and let your kiddos go at it. So they can get their hands in the cooking process, and that will most times they'll be more open to trying something new if you bring them in to experience it or allow them to help you make decisions about food. They feel special and they feel included, and it's just a plus all around. You get to spend a little more time with your kids. Also, no pressure to bring in your kiddos. Maybe cooking is your parent moment alone. So whatever you need to do for yourself and your self-care. Okay, so I want to say for this mash, I would add some like garlic powder and onion powder, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then that would be good to go. You can make it a little more sweet if you want to. Maybe just a little circle of honey or a little circle of maple syrup, and then mix it in to bring out the sweetness of the sweet potatoes. That would be really good. This would also be a really good first food for kids, for babies as they're starting to eat food. making sure that those split peas are completely cooked and very, very soft. You would want to remove the skin from the sweet potatoes, but you could make this as a protein packed dish for babies as they're learning to eat real foods. So another way to do that. Okay, let's serve up a little bit of this so we see what a plate looks like and do some tastes. We are right on our typical time. Okay, we got curry here. Curry in this one. It's a beautiful curry consistency without all of the extra liquid. You can decide whether you want it to be thicker or thinner for your curry sauce. Want it to be more soupy, just add more of that liquid. I have not added any salt to this dish, so I will taste that in just a second. And we'll take some of this mash. Give me a little, actually, since I already have this prepared, I'm gonna just wing this, and I'm gonna throw some of this Mexican seasoning blend on the mashed potatoes and split peas because it's already here. Salt. Okay, let's see how this goes. That's really pretty. Isn't that really pretty? Okay. So, sweet potatoes, the mash doesn't look the prettiest in that bowl, but that's okay. Let's see. Not bad. It's a little more seasoning, but still really flavorful. And then for my curry, delicious as always. It needs some salt. Salt it to your taste. Start with a little bit. And you can salt it in the pot if you want to, or you can salt your individual plates to be cognizant of the rest of your household salt needs. Joy, would you like to come taste?
I would love it.
Okay, please come taste. No salt in the curry, but if you want some,
Is this all for me?
yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
you
gosh,
can take
this
the
is
whole bowl.
amazing. Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
To me, that's perfect. I wouldn't even add any salt to it.
No salt to it?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic how it is.
That's awesome. That's a beautiful example of how we all have different preferences for salt flavor. Oh, here's the mash. So let me try that one. Okay, friends, you can find the recipes that I talked about today, including all of the ones that I didn't show you, in our nutrition resource folder, which is linked in our video caption. So that's the bit.ly link at ACFB Nutrition Resources. Go to the cooking videos folder and then go to the episode 17 folder, and you will find everything there for preparing recipes that I talked about today and other information. Joy, do we have any comments or anything in the chat box before I sign off?
Let's see, Ruth Cyber Silver Rosario says, she gave us hands up and smiley faces. And I said, it smells amazing in here, which it does. Tastes amazing too. I can't wait to just eat this for lunch. It's going to be amazing.
Yay. We're going to serve our leftovers to our food bankers who are on site today. This one's always a favorite because it's very well seasoned. And that's something you might think is missing when you're talking about healthy food, but this has got all the spices we talked about earlier. Is that it all in our chat box?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So thanks today for tuning in. Visit our resource folder and see what else we have in store for you. We will be back on, we'll be back live the second week of February. Actually, it might be Valentine's Day.
Ooh, maybe we should do something special.
Maybe we'll do something special for Valentine's Day. Like maybe we'll make some desserts or something. I don't know. We don't have a topic just yet, but once again, thanks for tuning in and we'll see you Valentine's Day week. Bye.